There's a scam running right now in marinas across the country that's stealing millions of dollars from boat owners, and the people behind it aren't criminals in the traditional sense. They're marina operators and yacht brokers, respected members of the boating community, people you trust to protect your interests and handle your most valuable recreational asset. What I'm about to expose isn't illegal in the technical sense, though it absolutely should be. It's a carefully orchestrated system of exploitation that takes advantage of abandoned and distressed boats, desperate owners, and legal grey areas to generate profits for insiders while leaving boat owners with nothing. By the end of this investigation, you'll understand exactly how the ghost boat scam works, who's profiting from it, how much money is being extracted from boat owners who think they're getting help, and most critically, how to protect yourself if you're ever in a situation where your boat becomes a target for these predators. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is documented practice happening in broad daylight, enabled by the boat market collapse and the legal complexities of maritime abandonment. What you're about to learn will make you angry, will make you question who you can trust in the marine industry, and will fundamentally change how you think about marina relationships and broker services. Stay with me, because the deeper I go into this story, the more disturbing it becomes. And by the time you understand the full scope of what's happening, you'll realize that the ghost boat crisis isn't just about owners abandoning vessels. It's about an entire underground economy built on extracting value from distressed situations, while the people who should be protected are left with nothing. Let me start by explaining what a ghost boat is, because understanding this is critical to understanding how the scam works. A ghost boat is a vessel that's been effectively abandoned by its owner, but hasn't yet been legally processed through abandonment procedures. The owner has stopped paying slip fees, stopped maintaining the boat, stopped responding to marina communications, but technically still owns the boat and technically still has obligations to the marina. The boat sits in its slip, deteriorating, accumulating unpaid fees, creating liability for the marina. From the marina's perspective, this is a problem that needs solving. From the scammer's perspective, it's an opportunity. Here's how the traditional, legitimate process is supposed to work. When an owner stops paying and stops communicating, the marina documents their attempts to contact the owner, sends certified letters, files legal notices, eventually obtains a maritime lien for unpaid fees and storage. After following the legal process, which takes months or years depending on jurisdiction, the marina can take possession of the boat and sell it to recover their losses. The boat goes to auction or is sold through a broker, and the proceeds go first to satisfying the marina's lien, then to other creditors like lenders, then, if anything remains, to the original owner. This process is slow, expensive, and often results in the marina recovering only a fraction of what they're owed, because abandoned boats typically sell for far less than the accumulated debt. But it's legal, transparent, and follows established procedures. The ghost boat scam is what happens when marinas and brokers decide to shortcut or manipulate this process for their own benefit. Now let me show you exactly how it works, step by step, because understanding the mechanics is essential to recognizing when it's happening. Step 1 is identification. Marinas identify boats that are at risk of abandonment, owners who are behind on payments, showing signs of financial distress, not using their boats regularly. These are the targets. The marina doesn't wait for complete abandonment. They intervene early when the owner is still reachable but vulnerable. Step 2 is the approach. The marina contacts the owner, but not with threatening collections notices. They approach with apparent sympathy and helpfulness. They say things like, "We understand you're going through a difficult time. We want to help you resolve this situation. We have options that can help you avoid damaging your credit or facing legal action." They position themselves as problem solvers rather than adversaries. This is calculated. Distressed boat owners are desperate for solutions that don't involve bankruptcy, repose sessions, or legal nightmares. When someone in authority offers help, owners are receptive. Step 3 is the introduction of the broker. The marina suggests that the owner work with a yacht broker, often someone the marina has a relationship with, to sell the boat quickly and quietly. They frame this as doing the owner a favor, connecting them with someone who can move the boat fast and resolve the debt. What the owner doesn't know is that the marina and the broker have a financial arrangement. The broker isn't working for the owner. The broker is working with the marina to extract maximum value from the situation while giving the owner as little as possible. Step 4 is the lowball valuation. The broker inspects the boat and provides a valuation that's dramatically below actual market value. They point to every flaw, emphasize every needed repair, reference the glutted market and difficulty selling boats, and conclude that the boat is worth far less than the owner believes. If the owner paid $200,000 for the boat a few years ago and still owes $150,000 on the loan, the broker might value it at $80,000. The owner is shocked, but the broker has explanations. The market has collapsed. The boat needs work. Time is critical because the longer it sits, the more debt accumulates and the worse condition becomes. If the owner tries to sell it themselves, it will take months they don't have. And meanwhile, marina fees and loan interest keep mounting. The broker offers to take the boat off their hands immediately, handle all the paperwork, and at least get them out from under the mounting debt, even if they take a loss. Step 5 is the pressure and urgency. The marina and broker work together to create time pressure. The marina might threaten immediate legal action if the situation isn't resolved quickly. They might mention that other boats in similar situations ended up in lengthy court battles where owners lost everything and still owed money. They emphasize that this offer from the broker is a lifeline that won't be available indefinitely. The owner, already stressed and desperate, feels they have no choice. They sign papers giving the broker authority to sell the boat, often for whatever price the broker can get, with the marina's lien taking priority for payment. Step 6 is where the real theft happens. The broker takes possession of the boat, does minimal cosmetic work to make it presentable, and lists it for sale. But here's the key. They don't list it at the lowball price they told the owner it was worth. They list it at or near actual market value. That boat they valued at $80,000 gets listed at $140,000. And because the boat is actually worth something close to that, because the market isn't as collapsed for decent boats as the broker claimed, the boat sells. Let's say it sells for $130,000. The broker takes their commission, typically 6%, that's $7,800. The marina takes everything they're owed in back fees, let's say $20,000. The lender on the owner's original loan gets paid their balance, let's say $150,000, except the boat only sold for $130,000, so the lender actually gets $110,000 after broker commission and marina fees, leaving them with a $40,000 deficiency that they'll pursue from the owner. The original owner gets nothing, not $1. In fact, they still owe the lender $40,000 on a deficiency judgment. But here's what actually happened. The boat was worth enough to pay the marina, the broker commission, and a substantial portion of the owner's debt. If the boat had been sold transparently at market value from the beginning, the owner might have walked away clean or close to it. Instead, the broker and marina collaborated to undervalue the boat, pressure the owner into a desperate sale, then profited by selling at actual value while keeping the difference. The owner was robbed of equity they didn't even know they had. This isn't a hypothetical example. This is happening systematically across the country with abandoned and distressed boats. The specific numbers vary, but the pattern is consistent. Lowball valuation, pressure tactics, quick sale at actual value, insiders profit while owner loses everything. Now let me show you the variations on this scam, because it's not always executed the same way. Variation 1 involves the broker actually buying the boat themselves or through a related entity. Instead of listing it for sale on behalf of the owner, the broker offers to purchase it directly at the lowball price. The owner, desperate and trusting the broker's valuation, sells for $80,000. The broker then immediately relists at $140,000 and keeps the entire profit. The owner never knows the boat was worth more because the transaction happened so fast and the broker controlled all the information. Variation 2 involves the marina itself becoming the buyer. The marina pressures the owner to sign over the boat in exchange for forgiveness of the marina debt. The owner, facing $20,000 in back fees and legal action, sees this as a way to eliminate the debt without further damage. They sign the title over to the marina. The marina then sells the boat through their broker partner, splits the profit, and the owner, who gave up a boat worth $100,000 to settle $20,000 in debt, never realizes they were cheated. Variation 3 involves fictional buyers and manufactured urgency. The broker tells the owner they have a buyer ready to purchase immediately, but the buyer is only willing to pay the lowball price, and the offer expires in 24 hours. The owner, believing this is their only opportunity, accepts. There is no buyer. The broker was lying. They take possession of the boat, list it properly, and sell it over the following weeks or months at actual value. By the time the real sale happens, the original owner has moved on and has no idea what the boat actually sold for. Variation 4, the most brazen, involves the marina and broker actually creating the distressed situation. The marina deliberately delays processing payments, claims payments weren't received, adds bogus fees and charges to the owner's account, creates an artificial crisis where the owner suddenly owes far more than they expected. When the confused owner contacts the marina, they're told about the accumulated debt and immediately connected with a broker who can help resolve it through a quick sale. The manufactured crisis leads to a coerced sale that benefits the marina and broker at the owner's expense. All of these variations share common elements: information asymmetry, where the broker and marina know the real value, but the owner doesn't. Pressure tactics that create urgency and prevent the owner from getting independent assessments or exploring alternatives. Relationships between marina and broker that aren't disclosed to the owner. And outcomes where the insiders profit substantially while the owner loses equity they should have retained. Now let me tell you about specific cases, because this isn't theoretical. These are real situations involving real people who got robbed through variations of this scam. Case 1 involves a 42-foot sailboat in Florida. The owner had financial difficulties, got behind on slip fees by about $15,000, contacted the marina about payment plans. The marina connected him with a broker who valued the boat at $70,000 due to needed repairs and poor market conditions. The owner owed $90,000 on his loan still, so he was underwater and desperate. The broker offered to try to sell it for whatever they could get, with the marina lien taking priority. The owner agreed. The boat sold 3 months later for $125,000. After the marina took their $15,000 and the broker took $7,500 in commission, that left roughly $100,000. The lender got paid their $90,000, leaving $10,000 that should have gone to the owner. Instead, the broker claimed additional costs for repairs and preparation, about $12,000, which exceeded the remaining proceeds. The owner got nothing, and the broker pocketed the difference between actual repair costs, which were minimal, and the claimed costs. Case 2 involves a powerboat in the Pacific Northwest. The owner died unexpectedly, and his family didn't know what to do with the boat. The marina contacted them saying they needed to resolve the situation quickly or face mounting fees. They recommended a broker who specialized in estate sales. The broker valued the boat at $45,000, saying the market was soft and the boat needed work. The family, overwhelmed and not knowledgeable about boats, accepted the broker's guidance. The boat sold within a month for $85,000. The broker took $5,100 in commission. The marina took $8,000 in fees. The remaining $71,000 was supposed to go to the estate. Instead, the broker claimed there were additional costs: storage, maintenance, insurance, totaling $25,000. The family received $46,000, significantly less than they should have gotten. Later, when reviewing paperwork, one family member noticed inconsistencies and contacted an attorney. Investigation revealed the claimed costs were largely fabricated. The broker and marina had split the extra money. The family sued and eventually recovered some of their losses, but the process took years and cost substantial legal fees. Case 3 involves the entire marina operation in the southeast that had systematized the scam. Over a 3-year period, they processed approximately 35 distressed or abandoned boats using variations of this scheme. Total estimated owner losses exceeded $2 million. The operation only came to light when a boat owner who was an attorney recognized what was happening and began investigating. He discovered the pattern of lowball valuations, quick sales at actual values, and systematic underreporting of sale proceeds to owners. He organized other victims and filed a class action lawsuit. The case is still pending, but depositions and discovery have revealed extensive coordination between the marina and multiple brokers to exploit distressed owners. These cases represent just what's been discovered and documented. The actual scope is certainly far larger because most owners never realized they were cheated. They're just relieved to be done with a boat that was causing them problems. They don't investigate what the boat actually sold for. They don't question the broker's claimed costs and fees. They move on with their lives, never knowing they were robbed. Now let me explain why this scam is so difficult to stop and why the people doing it face minimal legal risk. First, most of what they're doing isn't technically illegal. Brokers are allowed to value boats based on their professional judgment. Marinas are allowed to enforce their liens and collection policies. Sales transactions between willing parties are legal. The crime, if it is a crime, is in the misrepresentation and the undisclosed relationships and the manipulation of desperate people. But proving fraud requires showing intent to deceive, which is difficult. The broker can claim they made honest mistakes in valuation, that market conditions changed between their assessment and the sale, that the repairs they charged for were necessary even if documentation is sparse. Second, the victims are often in weak positions to pursue legal action. They're financially distressed, which is why they were vulnerable to the scam in the first place. They don't have money for attorneys. They've often moved on to dealing with other financial problems. They may have signed papers that waived certain rights or agreed to binding arbitration. Pursuing a lawsuit costs tens of thousands of dollars with uncertain outcomes. Most victims can't or won't pursue legal remedies. Third, the marine industry is relatively small and insular. Marinas and brokers know each other, work together, sometimes sit on the same industry boards and associations. There's social pressure not to make waves, not to accuse respected industry members of wrongdoing, not to damage relationships that are important for future business. Whistleblowers in the marine industry face retaliation and ostracism. Fourth, maritime law is complex and varies significantly by jurisdiction. What's illegal in one state might be permissible in another. Federal maritime law interacts with state commercial law in ways that create confusion and ambiguity. Prosecutors and regulators often don't understand maritime commerce well enough to recognize or pursue maritime fraud. The cases that do get prosecuted are usually extreme examples where the fraud is blatant and the losses are substantial. The subtler versions of the scam fly under the radar. Fifth, the ghost boat crisis has created an environment where these practices are normalized. There are so many distressed boats and desperate owners that the industry has started treating aggressive extraction of value from these situations as acceptable practice rather than exploitative behavior. Marina operators and brokers tell themselves they're just surviving in a difficult market, that they deserve compensation for dealing with problem boats and difficult situations. They rationalize the exploitation as fair payment for services rendered. Now let me tell you how to protect yourself if you're ever in a situation where your boat is at risk of becoming a ghost boat target. First and most important, never rely solely on a broker recommended by your marina, especially if you're behind on fees or in financial distress. The broker may have divided loyalties or outright financial arrangements with the marina that aren't disclosed. If you need to sell your boat, find your own broker through independent research. Get references from other boat owners. Make sure the broker is working for you and only for you. Second, always get independent valuations of your boat before agreeing to any sale. Don't accept one broker's opinion as definitive. Get at least 3 professional assessments from brokers or surveyors who don't have connections to your marina. Pay for these assessments if necessary. The few $100s spent on independent valuations can save you tens of thousands in lost equity. Third, understand the value of your marina lien versus your boat's worth. If you owe the marina $15,000 in back fees, but your boat is worth $80,000, you have $65,000 in equity even after paying the marina. Don't let anyone convince you that because you owe money, the boat is worthless to you. The math matters. Fourth, never sign papers that give someone else complete control over the sale of your boat without oversight. Even if you're desperate, maintain some control over the process. Require that you approve any sale price before the transaction completes. Require detailed accounting of all fees and costs. Require that you receive copies of all sale documents showing actual sale price and terms. Fifth, document everything. Keep records of all communications with the marina and any brokers. Keep copies of contracts and agreements. Take photos and videos of your boat's condition. This documentation can be crucial if you later discover you were cheated and need to pursue legal remedies. Sixth, if something feels wrong, trust your instincts and get legal advice before signing anything. If the broker is pushing urgency, if the marina is threatening immediate action, if the numbers don't make sense, if you feel pressured or confused, stop and consult an attorney who specializes in maritime law. Yes, this costs money, but it can save you from losing far more. Seventh, understand your alternatives to quick sale through a broker connected to your marina. You can list the boat yourself through online platforms. You can work with national broker networks that have no connection to your local marina. You can negotiate payment plans with your marina to buy time. You can even sometimes arrange to move your boat to a less expensive location to reduce carrying costs. The quick sale through the marina's recommended broker is rarely your only option, despite what they might claim. Eighth, be especially wary if you're in a vulnerable position. If you're dealing with financial hardship, health problems, family crisis, estate settlement, you're a prime target. These are the situations where scammers are most active because they know you're not thinking clearly and are desperate for easy solutions. Ninth, know your legal rights regarding maritime liens and boat sales. Each state has different laws, but generally marinas must follow specific procedures before they can seize and sell your boat. They can't just take it because you owe money. They have to give proper notice, file appropriate legal paperwork, allow you time to respond. Educate yourself about your rights in your jurisdiction so you know when someone is overstepping. 10th, consider joining or consulting with boat owner associations and advocacy groups. These organizations often have resources to help owners facing difficult situations, can recommend reputable brokers and attorneys, and sometimes intervene in cases where members are being exploited. There's strength in community and knowledge in collective experience. Now let me address what needs to change systematically to stop this scam, because individual vigilance isn't enough when the problem is structural. First, there needs to be mandatory disclosure of financial relationships between marinas and brokers. If a marina recommends a broker, they should be required to disclose any commissions, referral fees, or other financial arrangements. This disclosure should be in writing and provided to the boat owner before any agreements are signed. Transparency doesn't prevent all abuse, but it helps. Second, there should be cooling off periods for distressed boat sales. When an owner is facing financial pressure from marina debt, they shouldn't be rushed into immediate decisions. A mandatory period of perhaps 30 days between when a sale agreement is signed and when it can be executed would give owners time to get independent advice, explore alternatives, and make sure they're not being coerced. Third, there should be independent valuation requirements. Before any distressed boat can be sold at a price significantly below its apparent market value, there should be a requirement for independent appraisal from someone with no connection to the marina or broker handling the sale. This protects owners from lowball schemes. Fourth, there should be better enforcement of fiduciary duties for brokers. Currently, maritime law regarding broker responsibilities is ambiguous. Clear standards should establish that brokers owe fiduciary duties to the party they claim to represent, with significant penalties for breaching those duties. If a broker claims to be selling a boat on behalf of an owner, they should be legally bound to maximize value for that owner, not for themselves or their marina partner. Fifth, there should be public registries of boat sales showing actual sale prices and terms. This would function like real estate records, creating transparency that makes it harder to hide what boats actually sold for. If owners could look up comparable sales of similar boats, they'd be better equipped to recognize when they're being given fraudulent valuations. Sixth, there should be stronger consumer protection laws applied to boat sales. Currently, boats often fall into regulatory gaps where neither vehicle codes nor real estate laws fully apply. Specific consumer protection statutes addressing boat sales would give authorities clearer tools to prosecute fraud. Seventh, industry associations should establish and enforce ethical standards. The yacht broker and marina industry organizations should create codes of conduct with meaningful enforcement mechanisms. Brokers and marinas found to be engaging in exploitative practices should face sanctions, including loss of membership, which would hurt their reputation and business. None of these reforms are likely to happen quickly because the industry resists regulation, and the number of boat owners affected, while significant, isn't large enough to create political pressure. But awareness is the first step toward change. The more people who understand this scam, the more likely it is that victims will report it, that authorities will investigate, that pressure will build for reforms. Let me tell you what's happening right now as the ghost boat crisis accelerates. The opportunities for this scam are multiplying. There are thousands of distressed boats, thousands of desperate owners, and the legal system is overwhelmed. Marinas and brokers who might not have considered exploitative practices in the past are being tempted by the easy money. The industry culture is shifting toward viewing distressed boats as profit opportunities rather than problems requiring ethical solutions. I'm hearing from more boat owners who feel they were cheated, more industry insiders who are troubled by what they're seeing, more attorneys who are starting to investigate patterns of abuse. This is reaching a critical mass where it might break into broader public awareness, which could finally force regulatory responses. But until that happens, the scam continues and accelerates. Right now, today, owners are being approached by marina operators offering help. Brokers are giving lowball valuations. Boats are being sold at values their owners never knew they had. The insiders are profiting. The victims are losing equity. And the system that's supposed to protect people is failing. The ghost boat scam isn't some isolated problem affecting a few people. It's a systematic exploitation of a crisis, enabled by information asymmetry, powered by desperation, and protected by legal ambiguity and industry solidarity. It's theft dressed up as help. It's fraud masquerading as problem solving. And it's happening in every marina district across the country, wherever there are distressed boats and unscrupulous operators willing to exploit them. Now you know what to look for. Now you understand the mechanics of how it works. Now you're equipped to protect yourself if you're ever in a vulnerable position. And now you can recognize when someone approaches with offers that sound helpful but are actually designed to rob you blind. The ghost boats sitting in marinas aren't just abandoned vessels. They're potential victims of a scam that's thriving in the chaos of the boat market collapse. Everyone represents not just an owner who walked away, but potentially an owner who was pushed away after being stripped of equity they should have kept. The marina operators and brokers running this scam are counting on continued ignorance, continued desperation, and continued lack of oversight. They're counting on victims not understanding maritime law, not having resources to fight back, not realizing they were cheated until it's too late. They're counting on the industry closing ranks and protecting its own rather than policing misconduct. What they're not counting on is exposure. They're not counting on awareness spreading. They're not counting on boat owners understanding the game and refusing to play. That's what this video does. It exposes the scam. It spreads awareness. It equips boat owners to recognize and resist exploitation. The ghost boat scam works because it operates in shadows, because victims don't know to look for it, because the industry prefers to keep these practices quiet. Bringing it into the light doesn't stop it immediately, but it's the necessary first step. Now the scam is exposed. Now you know how marinas and brokers work together to rob distressed boat owners blind. Now you can protect yourself and warn others. And maybe, just maybe, enough awareness will build that the practices will change, the regulations will tighten, and the exploitation will stop. Until then, remember this: when you're desperate and someone offers help, ask yourself who really benefits. When someone recommends a solution that seems convenient, investigate who profits. When you're told you have no options, remember you always have options, even if they're not easy. The ghost boat scam thrives on desperation and ignorance. Don't give the scammers either. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and protect your interests, because nobody else will do it for you.